Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be ranking the rookie girl groups IVE, Kep1er, and NMIXX in different categories. I've been seeing a lot of comparisons and discussion around these three specifically because they all debuted in the past half year, and there's a lot of arguments as to who people think are the best in different areas. So I thought it would be fun to give my own 2 cents on this topic, and give some commentary on how I think each group stacks up against the others when it comes to things such as vocals, rap, choreography, and discography, and a few more categories that we'll talk about when we get there. For each category, I'm going to be mentioning who I personally think is the best, second best, and worst in each one, and give an explanation afterwards for each ranking. This video is going to be separated into chapters based on which category that I'm talking about, so if there's one that you really want to see, feel free to skip ahead and go to the sections that you want to. Thank you all so much for watching, and without further ado, let's talk about vocals. So for vocals, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised when I put NMIXX in first place. Out of the 3 groups in this video, they seem to be the only ones who are really able to pull off difficult high notes, and even when they're singing less difficult parts in their songs, it still sounds very powerful, which I think is super impressive. The way Lily's able to use her upper register in Tank is something that you don't see from like 99% of K-pop idols, and even the members who are less oriented towards vocals are still super impressive in their own regards. Coming in at second for vocals, we have Kep1er, and I would say that Kep1er are fine when it comes to their vocals, but when you compare them to a majority of their 4th gen competitors, they definitely rank lower. Chaehyun does a decent job as their main vocal, but they definitely lack a true powerhouse vocalist, and I feel like if they put out more ballads in the future, it's going to be a lot similar to what they did on Queendom 2, where it's kind of like mellow and not that impressive, but the ballads will be composed and arranged to more so highlight the tones of their voices more so than the notes they can hit, because while they might not be the most impressive singers, they definitely have vocals that are pleasant to the ear. And in last place, we have IVE. Now for having the weakest vocalist in my opinion when it comes to these 3 groups, I definitely think IVE works well with what they have. None of their songs are too vocally challenging, so the fact that they aren't the strongest vocalists isn't a weakness that's obvious. However, if you look closely, you can still tell that they aren't the strongest singers in the world. Their songs don't have too many high notes, but when they do, it feels like the girls are singing at the top of their range, and if they went any higher, I feel like there would be a high chance of their voices cracking. Their high notes sound pretty nasally most of the time, and that kind of makes me believe that they aren't the most supported, but the girls are all super young, so they still have so much time to improve. Still though, when you compare them to NMIXX and Kep1er, I still have to put IVE last. And now let's move on to the next category, which is going to be choreography. Okay, now before you scratch your heads, let me explain that choreography is a different category from dance. Dance refers to their actual dancing skills, but this category more so refers to the actual routines that they perform, and how good they look to me, so that's why IVE is in first place. Because to me, the choreography of 11, Love Dive, and even their B-sides kind of floors the choreography of both the other groups in this video. I mean, there's gotta be a reason why hundreds of thousands of people were learning the dances to these songs. One of the reasons why I really like IVE's choreography is that they make really good TikTok challenges without looking like they're trying to be TikTok challenges. Everything about IVE's choreography is kind of just naturally appealing to the eye, and it feels somewhat like effortless, I guess. A few instances of iconic IVE choreography that come to mind are the slowdown part before the chorus of 11, and the whole narcissistic my god I love it part of Love Dive. Second, for the choreography category, we have NMIXX. And NMIXX choreography, one thing that I will say about it is that it's absolutely impressive. I kind of start sweating if I even think about attempting the OO choreography, and right out of the gate, they let people know with their choreography that not everybody can do what they can do. And while I do think their choreography looks cool, I don't know if it really looks fun. Like the chorus of OO, when they have their hand on the ground and they're doing the whole watch out how nice thing, it kind of just looks awkward to me. And for me personally, NMIXX's choreography doesn't have that same infectious energy that most other K-pop dances do, where I feel like I want to get up and dance along with them. And in last place, we have Kep1er, who are kind of like NMIXX, where I feel like their choreography looks a little bit awkward, but at the same time, it's also not impressive. They barely have any choreography videos out, so I'm not going to be too harsh on them, but I think that Wadada is one of the worst K-pop choreographies that I've ever really seen, and I'll just leave it at that. So next up we have the rap category, and I'm actually going to put all 3 of the groups in the same tier because I feel like none of them are really good at rapping. Maybe there's some real rapping talent within these groups that just hasn't really been used to its full potential yet, but personally, as someone who's listened to every single song by every single one of these groups, I have not been impressed by one of the raps that I've heard from them. I feel like they all heavily fall into that category of girl groups where they just kind of shoehorn in a rap that isn't necessary. And right now, when any of these three groups announce a comeback, I'm more so going to be dreading the thought of a potential rap than looking forward to what they have to put out. One of the reasons why I was so in love with 11 by IVE was because it didn't have a rap at all, and I thought that the group had a big potential to be one of those groups that doesn't rap at all. So you can imagine the disappointment I felt when they started to rap in Royal, and then on top of that, it wasn't really a good rap verse, so it just made everything worse. And then I guess I should say something for the other two as well. So for Kep1er, I just don't really like the girls' flows. I feel like they sound a little bit whiny at times. And then for NMIXX, maybe it's just the writing honestly, but the whole like shook thing just made me not want to listen to them rap ever again. And that's why I chose not to rank these groups when it comes to rapping, because I can't put one above the other when I don't like any of them at all when it comes to rap. So the next category that we have is the dance category, and I'm gonna put NMIXX first because how are they doing that choreography? Like the backflip part in OO, I genuinely have no idea how they're able to pull off their choreography, but the fact that they do it and they do it so well proves that they're really good dancers. Like, it's scary how good they are. I'm genuinely intimidated by them. They're insane. Second for this category, we have Kep1er, and Kep1er are just really solid. We saw how all of the girls performed on Girls Planet, and on Queendom 2, their dancing is their main strength. They're just very solid and respectable idol dancers. And last, we have IVE, who aren't bad by any means, but I just think that Kep1er and NMIXX have a little bit of an edge on them, and I think some of the members are kind of noticeably weaker at dancing compared to like Yujin and Gaul in the group. I saw a bunch of comparisons on how each member executed the hip isolations in 11, and it's pretty obvious that not all of the members are at the same skill level, but none of them are completely awful, so it's not that big of a deal. And I even think they'd be able to hold their own against a lot of other 4th gen girl groups, but because they're against Kep1er and NMIXX in this video, they just, somebody had to be last. So for the next category, we're going to talk about discographies, and I know what you're thinking, Juice, what discographies? They all have like 3 songs, and you're correct. But no matter how small, we can still judge them under discographies, so in first we have IVE. And considering that I semi-ult IVE and I talk about them in like every other video, I don't think this should be that much of a surprise. And I would actually like to congratulate IVE on being the one group in this video that don't have any songs that make me want to rip my own hair out. Because while they do only have 4 songs, 11, Take It, Love Dive, and Royal are still my jams today, besides the rap in Royal. But I mean, I'm not that surprised because they come from Starship, and I literally stan every single Starship group because I love all of their music so much. But that doesn't take away from the group's hard work, nor the people who made their music and made it so good. I think my favorite right now is still 11, then Take It, then Royal, then Love Dive, but Love Dive is still like a 7.5 out of 10. And now we just need a mini album. I'm sick and tired of these single albums. Please, more than 2 songs next time. In second, we have Kep1er, and it's only because of Mask I said that in my ranking 4th gen girl groups video. That's their one good song in my opinion. And I kinda just like to pretend that Wadada doesn't exist. And in last place we have NMIXX. I don't think I really need to explain myself. I'm not an enjoyer of OO nor Tank. It's fine if you are, but don't try to convert me because it's not happening anytime soon. And that's the end of this section. It was a pretty short one, but these groups' discographies are pretty short, so moving on. The next category that we're going to be covering in this video is popularity. I don't think I need to give any explanation as to what this category means, and the undeniable first place group in this category is IVE. I mean, just take any statistic that either of these two groups have, and you look at IVE, and IVE have more of that. Music show wins, IVE have the most. Spotify listeners, IVE have the most. Music video views, IVE have the most. And while I'm not completely sure if they have the most physically sold album out of the 3 of these groups, their Love Dive album is about to hit 500,000 physical equals sales. Right now, I would go as far as to say that IVE is the third most popular 4th gen girl group right now, right behind I.dle and Aespa, and that means to me, they've beat out even ITZY and STAYC in terms of popularity. In second, we have Kep1er, but it was a pretty close race between them and NMIXX, but I ended up choosing Kep1er for second because it feels like they have a little bit more of an international fan base. Personally, I know a lot more people that like WADADA than people who like OO, and from Queendom 2, I think Kep1er are just gonna get a little bit more of an edge over NMIXX, but it's not that big of a difference. And in last we have NMIXX, but that doesn't mean that they're unpopular. They have millions of people tuning into their music, and their first album sold over 400,000 copies. That's nothing to laugh at, they're just a little bit less popular than the other two groups on this list, and somebody had to be last. And that actually is going to conclude this video. So all in all, at the end of the day, I would still say my favorite group out of these three is IVE by far. I think they're one of the most unique 4th gen girl groups around right now, and I'm more excited to see what they have to put out next compared to the other two. And also let me know how you would rank these groups in the different categories that I put in the comment section down below. Before you click off the video, I have to remind you all to check the pinned comment and vote for MCND on Road to Max. And also, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, and if you want to see more from me, consider subscribing. Thank you all again so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.